Welcome to THV 11 News at noon. I'm Hayden Balgavy. Let's check in with your top headlines at this hour. A Ouachita Baptist University football player dies unexpectedly over the weekend. We'll hear from his family coming up. And after many years, there is finally a new treatment option for people who suffer from the skin condition vitiligo. At 12:16, we'll show you how it works. And today, Simmons Bank Arena announces another country star is heading to the natural state, and we have all the concert details just ahead. But first, we will check in with meteorologist Nathan Scott. Nathan, good afternoon. It rained on Monday afternoon. It rained on Tuesday afternoon. I'm a little curious if it's going to rain on Wednesday afternoon.
You know, you would think that we would continue with the consistency, but today will be a little bit different. Even though we are seeing a mixture of sunny clouds out there, the clouds are bubbling up in the atmosphere. Take a look at visible satellite. We're seeing partly cloudy to partly sunny skies across the region. 86 is the number in the capital city. It's 81 in Russellville, 81 in Batesville. Good afternoon, Camden. You're at 82. Here's a radar loop, though. It's all quiet, and I think for the most part, it's going to stay quiet. Future radar shows not too much happening. Yes, there could be an isolated shower, maybe a storm, primarily for locations in southern parts of the state and southeast Arkansas, and we could see a few isolated showers right around sunset until about 9 or 10 o'clock. But a lot of the area will stay dry compared to what we have been seeing over the past 2 days. Temperatures out there this afternoon topping out into the mid to upper 80s. Some locations, if you see more sun, will top out around 90 degrees. And tonight, less humid air begins to filter its way in here from the north and northeast. So temperatures starting off your Thursday morning will be into the low to mid 60s across a large part of the area. And it's going to be a pleasant Thursday and Friday. I'll have more on that forecast coming up.
This afternoon, a suspect is facing kidnapping and murder charges in Memphis after the abduction case that is gaining national attention. Now, police discovered the body of Eliza Fletcher Monday in a grassy lot behind a vacant duplex. It's roughly 7 miles from where the kindergarten teacher and mother of 2 was last seen. Now, investigators say 38-year-old Cleotha Abston violently forced Fletcher into his SUV while she was out jogging at about 4 a.m. last Friday. Abston previously kidnapped a prominent Memphis attorney when he was 16 years old. Abston served nearly 20 years in prison for that crime, but he had been released and been sentenced to 24 years.
I think it's easy to take one particular case and try to extrapolate from that. I think what we just need to do right now is just focus on going forward and making sure that justice is done in this particular case.
Now, the district attorney says he has no reason to think Fletcher was targeted intentionally, instead calling this an isolated attack by a stranger. Now, Abston is being held without bond. He's expected in court again in 3 days. Well, new this afternoon, we're hearing from the family of the Ouachita Baptist football player who collapsed and died over the weekend. Clark Yarbrough was a starter for the OBU Tigers. Now, those who knew him best are trying to come to terms with that sudden loss and reflecting on the legacy that he leaves behind.
I haven't had the opportunity to say goodbye.
There are countless questions around Clark Yarbrough's death. The 21-year-old from North Texas was Maddie Yarbrough's youngest child.
Every game I was there, I'm his biggest fan. And I'm going to be there, rain, sleet, shine, heat. I'm there. I'm sitting in the rain, the cold, the wind. I'm right there because my baby's out there.
Thursday, she was in the stands as the Ouachita Baptist University defensive lineman won his season opener.
Took pictures, took videos, loved on him as I always do after every game.
But Sunday, Yarbrough collapsed suddenly and died.
God really got a great angel.
His family still hasn't seen him. The cause of death still unknown.
I love him. I miss him. Absolute stud on the field. Even bigger stud in life.
Anytime somebody passes that's that young, you want answers, and that's definitely what we want.
Ouachita Baptist head coach Todd Knight said he's spoken to and cried with Maddie. The team had a chapel service on Tuesday.
We're around a lot of believers, and that gives us strength and gives us encouragement and helps us make the next step.
Last year, Clark was an honorable mention in the All-Great American Conference team. He was set to graduate with a sports management degree and a dream of being a grad assistant and a coach.
My son was amazing. He was my buddy.
There was pain in the loss and the unanswered questions, but there was no doubt of the man that Clark Yarbrough was.
He walked with his head held high with a smile on his face. And that's what I want people to remember about my brother. This smile right here. the $1 million smile that could light up a room.
Now OBU plays in the Great American Conference. The league just named Yarbrough as its co-defensive player of the week to start the new season. Meanwhile, those at Ouachita Baptist are leaning on their faith to get them through this tough time.
One of my trademarks on the Ouachita touchdown is "to the promised land." Clark was a believer, and on this day, I have no doubt he has seen the true promised land.
You know, it make you reflect and make you think about your words and decisions you make and how you live your life. And Clark was a great example of that, living through his faith. And I'm proud that I know Clark Yarbrough.
The 21-year-old from the Dallas area was in his 4th year with OBU. An autopsy is being done to try and figure out how exactly he died. Happening today, the USDA will release its annual food insecurity data for the country. Now, it comes just after UAMS released a new study on the serious issue, finding the state consistently ranks in the top 10 when it comes to food insecurity. Now, the study found Arkansans are more likely to rely on food pantry services due to income loss or a serious health issue. Now, Dr. Chris Long with UAMS says he hopes this study can help destigmatize the issue.
People have a misconception of what food insecure families look like. And what we find out when we talk to people who are food insecure, about a third of those people either have a job or are retired. It's a very diverse group of people, and most of us are a few, bad circumstances away from being in the line at the food pantry ourselves.
UAMS now hopes to take this study and use it to help Arkansas food pantries better serve those in need across our state. Turning to national news now, the Washington Post is reporting new details about what was in the documents the FBI recovered from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
The Washington Post is reporting that a document seized at Mar-a-Lago contained information on foreign nations' nuclear capabilities.
It could be anything from a foreign government's attempt to build a nuclear program or its nuclear readiness now to wage nuclear war. We don't know.
CBS News has not verified the report, but sources say this type of information is highly classified and is called compartmented intelligence because it's only accessible on a need-to-know basis to a very few number of people, such as the president, a limited number of cabinet secretaries, and those directly running an operation.
And yet they were stored for 18 months at essentially, a beach club.
Experts tell CBS News it will be important to know whether the military defense intelligence is about an adversary or friendly nation, noting that intelligence gathering on our partners is done, but it's considered extremely sensitive. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence is conducting a risk assessment to determine whether national security was harmed by keeping classified materials at Mar-a-Lago. A Trump-appointed federal judge in Florida ruled that the intelligence assessment can continue, but says the Department of Justice review of the material for criminal investigative purposes must stop until a special master can review the documents to see what could fall under attorney-client or executive privilege. Former Attorney General Bill Barr, who served in the Trump administration, slammed the ruling.
The opinion, I think, was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways.
The former president's spokesman accused the Washington Post of working with the Biden administration to collude in never-ending leaks and lies at the expense of the integrity of the FBI and DOJ. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The DOJ and Trump's lawyers have until Friday to submit a list of names acceptable to both sides to be the special master. President Biden gathered his cabinet for an end-of-summer meeting at the White House on Tuesday. Now, this was the first cabinet meeting since March for the president and his administration. They're working to implement several major bills he signed into law this summer, including the sweeping Inflation Reduction Act. With midterm elections 2 months away and control of Congress at stake, the president has begun traveling to key battleground states.
I'm incredibly optimistic about the future that we're building here in this country. But it requires solid work making these laws work. The devil's in the details.
Another issue Democrats are focused on ahead of the midterms, protecting same-sex marriage. Now, some have argued the Supreme Court ruling upholding those rights could now be in jeopardy after the conservative High Court reversed years of precedent on abortion. Well, more than 1 million Americans suffer from vitiligo. In 2 minutes, more on the new treatment that could change lives.
And we got a mixture of sunny clouds around the region, all thanks to our View 11 on top of Simmons Bank building. Some of those clouds could still produce maybe an isolated shower storm, but the rain chances today much lower than what we have been seeing. I'll have your forecast for today and for the weekend coming up.